Good morning. There seems to be considerable controversy over 1 Corinthians 11:3, which reads that Christ is the head of every man, man is the head of woman, God is the head of Christ. Now the Bible does talk about Jesus presiding over the congregation and a man presiding finally over his household. So how are we to understand this? Are they dictators? So first of all, we might look at how God exercises his headship over everybody as the Father of us all. Now, as our Father, there is a house rule, just one, that we love one another as Jesus loved us. The reason being, as it says in 1 Timothy chapter 1 and verse 9, Paul says, "We know very well that the law is not directed against the good man, it's directed against the lawless. Good people don't need a law, because if they love their fellow man, they're not going to harm them, and they're going to do what they can for their good." So how does God exercise his headship? Well, he has a universe to look after. So supposing I needed help with money to the end of the week, or I was lonely, and I might pray about this. Now, does God say to me, well, look, I've got a galaxy here that's about to explode or implode, or I'm looking after the birth of a star. I can't be bothered with your problems just now. Does he say that? No. He has taken on the duty of a father. So he bustles around, finds an angel who's willing to help, sends him out and says, look, she just needs something to the end of the week, or she needs somebody to talk to, and take her by surprise so that she knows it comes from me. I don't know why. Well, I suppose I do know why the Lord does that. He likes to surprise us. And I found that prayers do get answered in the most, unusual of ways. He looks after us. He takes his responsibilities seriously. He's not there to say, look, you must do what I say. So how are we to understand this? Let's have a look at Ephesians 5 and verse 23. For a husband is head of his wife as Christ is head of the congregation. And verse 25, husbands, you must love your wives as Christ too loved the church and gave himself up for it. So God exercises his headship over Christ by teaching him everything. He taught Jesus the wisdom of the universe for aeons and then sent him to earth. And now God has given all authority to Christ. So how does Christ exercise this authority? Jesus came to earth not with a selfish reason. He didn't have a selfish bone in his body. He expended himself for us. He taught us. He fed the hungry. He healed the sick. He quelled storms. It took a lot out of him. And in the end, he even died for us. How many husbands will do that? Now, I'd like to read from Barnes' notes on the Bible. On Ephesians 1:23, he says, the idea here seems to be that as Christ gave himself to save his body, that is the church, as he practiced self-denial and made it an object of intense solicitude to preserve that church, so ought the husband to manifest a similar solicitude to make his wife happy, to save her from want, affliction, and pain. He ought to regard himself as her natural protector, as bound to anticipate and provide for her needs, as under obligation to comfort her in trial, even as Christ does the church. If young men in Jehovah's Witnesses took notice of this, there would be far fewer problems. They are not dictators. Neither was Christ. He was a servant to the congregation, a loving provider. So does this mean then that wives are going to sit back and just let their husbands provide? Well, Proverbs 31 says that she has considerable freedom to exercise over her household. She does the shopping, the marketing, the cooking. She sews, she cooks, she looks after them. in the way that she feels is best. Considerable latitude she's given for joy. Her husband is delighted that she enjoys doing this. So it's a partnership. So, dear ones, if you have any comments on this, I'd be glad to hear of them. So take care, and thank you for watching this morning.